Right, good morning everyone on this hot morning, dreading what's coming up for Monday and Tuesday, or is it Sunday and Monday? I don't know, it's going to get very hot. Anyhow, I thought we'd have a little look at the Trimphone. I might have done one in the past, but this one shows all the available types, or the main types that you would probably come across. The name, as you probably know, stands for Tone Ringer Illuminated Model, hence the name Trimphone. It was invented, was that the word? It was introduced by STC, Standard Telephones and Cables, and I'll show you the one which I think was probably one of the first models that was brought out by that company. We look at it now. It's got the dial with figures and numbers. Now this is a bit different. Here's what we have on the base. A totally different base to the Trimphones of today. Two screws at the base, at the bottom, and a screw at the top. They would be the screws that you'd undo to get inside. The number, I think 66 probably refers to the year. LAU 60AAB. Now this item, as far as I know, is quite rare. I picked it up many years ago at my favourite boot sale, Wimbledon. I was looking around, as you do, at all the piles of interesting bits and pieces, and on this store, which was selling loads of stuff, but they had these two phones, and I thought, two Trimphones, let's have a little look. When I picked them up, I realised they were a little bit different. So I said, oh, how much for the pair? I think I gave a tenner or something like that. It was some silly figure. And I got it, and I'm rather glad I did, because this was probably one or the only prototype of the Trimphone made by STC. I'm not taking the tops of any of these off. This is a non-technical type talk, just like an introduction of what they are and how you'd tell the difference. The handset looks the same, but no, it's not. There's no screw to get into it, and this cap at the top, you need a special tool to actually remove this to get to the transmitter and receiver. So yeah, this is a rare phone as far as I'm concerned. I've only ever seen it once or twice for sale on eBay, and I've got two of these, so I'm rather pleased with that. Good old boot sales. A pity the Wimbledon one no longer exists. That was, in my opinion, the finest boot sale ever. It was a great pleasure and something to look forward to every Saturday morning. They also held a market on the Sundays, but the boot sale was on Saturday, and it was very, very good. Since gone. Anyhow, leaving this, let me have a little word about the Trimphone. I was working in BT, or the GPO at the time. Well, I just started, hadn't been there very long, and was learning. And this was when, in 1965, the Trimphone appeared, and it caused a lot of interest because of unusual shape. It was, I think, in competition, not really competition, but it was brought out as a bedside phone, being nice and small, easy to handle, and it was to counteract, if you like, the American Princess type phone, which is also a bedside phone used in America. The Princess is quite a nice phone as well. Anyhow, of course, being young then, and I was young then, I'm a bit older now, in '65 there was a lot of interest in this, because as far as I know, it was the first time a tone ringer or tone caller was used, and these phones did use this tone ringer. Added to the fact that you had a dial which would glow in the dark, and this was achieved by using tritium gas, I think it was tritium gas, which was slightly radioactive, which was a pity it was radioactive, but it was. No harm would come of it. If you look at your watches you're wearing with figures that glow in the dark, there's probably no more danger than those. Anyhow, after many years, this tritium half-life, I believe they talk about, has died, and they no longer glow. I know some people have put little LED lights by taking the tritium tube out and fitting in little LED lights. I haven't done that. To me that's not the real thing. It works, and alright, it's a gimmick, but I don't use it. This is a dial. I think this was a redesigned dial to be lighter, so that as you dialed, the phone didn't skate across the table, because these tended to be very light. We look at the back, and it's upside down. It's actually Tele Mark II, I think that means, 722F, F meaning figures, and this would have been a phone which had been reconditioned by the GPO works. This was in February 77, second month, so we're talking September, and this is the typical base that you'd see on the Trimphone. That screw is not to hold the base on. I'll show you that there. The base is held on by this plastic or neoprene screw. You unscrew that and the cover comes off, and it's not attached to anything, so it can come off, leaving the dial in place, and you can get to the innards. As I said before, I'm not going to show you the innards on this one. This is just more or less perhaps an appreciation of the Trimphone and the way it has developed. The handset, as you see, has a screw in the top of it, and that removes this little plastic cover to expose the transmitter and receiver, which are side by side. So there's no privacy on these phones. If you were to close the transmitter part with your hand, thinking you can say things and not be heard, wrong. You can hear things. This was in cream colour. The other one was sort of a blue two-tone. Right, next one up is slightly different. It's made a bit higher. Is slightly higher to incorporate the electronics, capacitors, coils and that, so it can operate using press button. And as you see, this is a press button that will only give striature pulse, similar to a dial. So the only advantage is the fact that instead of dialing, you just press the keypad, and you don't really gain much more time on that. But it was brought out and it was in use. Also at the front you had a number plate at the front. The rest of the handset is identical. Unfortunately got a little crack there. Turning him over, this is 766 Gen, which is a General Electric company, GEC, and this was produced 83rd month. You've got the post office release mark on there, but this shows the typical base to the modern, if you like, Trimphone. Putting that one down. That's in a sort of a whitey ivory case. As I say, I don't worry too much about colours. I know they brought out various models. Some models command quite a price. I don't know why, but they obviously do. I'm more interested in the evolution and the technical side of stuff. And I apologise again for not showing you what it's like inside. Anyhow, let's have a look at the final one in this little talk. Here we have, I only bought this phone last week. It was sold cheap because of a slight crack in the handset. I'm not even going to bother with it. Alright, it's a crack, it's age. Don't we show cracks on that when we get old? Alright, it could be fiddled about with and glued, but no, I'm not going to. It shows the age. Bit of pattern, I would say. Once again, standard type handset. But here we have 12 buttons, and these buttons are touch tone type. They give out the multi-frequency tones. And this phone, as I say, I bought last week. It was cheap, and I think it was cheap because the handset had a crack on it. And I think there's a slight, tiny little crack in the case at the front there by the number where you insert the number. But not to worry. As I said before, it's old. Expect to get this. Let's turn him over and have a little look. There's the number 786 GNA. That is Pi, the Pi company, made in Scotland, and that was produced 84th month. There's the batch number from the post office, and you can see it's called the post office there. When these started off, it was the GPO, General Post Office. Then it became Post Office, and now, as you all know, it's BT, British Telecom. So there's the history of the Trimphone. Any questions, please ask. As I say, I quite like talking, but I think I've come to an end now. Showed you all these. What I would say, on these they had a cord which was long and had a twisty cord near to where the terminating block goes. They also made a variety which had a plug, and the circuitry was slightly altered because of that. But all these ones are straightforward 2-wire A and B, L1, L2, tip and ring, and in my opinion don't need any resistors in the bell circuit. Just leave them as they are. If you see them on eBay and you think you're getting a good buy, grab it. look out that the case is not damaged and the buttons or the dial works okay. You obviously can't see inside. You can just hope that it's working. That is obviously a gamble, but as I say, I've found the gambles to be quite good. Getting back to that prototype, there was two of these. One worked fine, the other has a transmitter that doesn't send, but not to worry, that's in the collection. I can't get into it because it needs a special tool, but at least one of them does work. And the one I'm using at the moment, will keep using, is the one at the end with the tone, the touch tone version, because obviously I've modernised to that extent that most of the phones I use have got the touch tone. But nevertheless, I've got a load upstairs which are in the collection, and nevertheless are quite interesting. Anyhow, I'm finding hard to say anything more, so I'm going to shut up, give you all a chance. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll get back to this hot weather, which, as I say, anyone living in England, particularly the London area, southeast London, or southeast England, it's going to get blooming hot. I think it's Sunday and Monday, or is it Monday and Tuesday? Anyhow, I'd suggest drink plenty of water and take it easy. It's the hottest we've ever been for, well, I think since records were made. Anyhow, once again, I'm going to shut up and get on with it. Thank you for watching. Thank you.